Welcome to the Office of Developmental Services online training for IDOLS Phase 2 Service Authorizations. This training will give you the basics on how to access and create service authorizations within the system. IDOLS was developed under the CMS Systems Transformation Grant through the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It was awarded to Virginia in 2006. The IDOLS system replaces the paper submission of individual service authorization requests. However, the paper system will remain in place for up to 90 days during the initial transition. Additional information on the service authorization process is available in a manual online at dbhds.virginia.gov. The first thing you have to access IDOLS is a Delta account. This needs to be set up through the Department of Behavioral Health and Developmental Services. You can go online to the same web address at dbhds.virginia.gov to find guidance for how to set up an account within the Delta web portal. Also at the end of this presentation is the direct link to be able to access that information. The first thing that needs to happen is that a CSB or Behavioral Health Authority needs to add the service so that the provider can access an individual's record. We're going to talk now about how to add a service within IDOLS. First thing to do to add a service is to go to dbhds.virginia.gov so that you can log into the Delta web portal. Remembering that the Delta web portal is the department's access site for the IDOLS system. On the home page, you'll see this icon. Simply click this icon and it will take you to the Delta login page. If you get a security notice, press OK to proceed. And it will bring up a new window so that you can enter your username and password. Simply type your username and password as provided by your system administrator or by the department, and select Login. Once you arrive here at a location, your agency may have more than one location. You want to make sure that you select the correct location for you. If you're with a CSB and you are submitting a request, you want to select your CSB from the drop-down menu and select Set Location. Next, there should be a link that says IDOLS. For the purposes of this training, we are using the test site, so you see IDOLS test here. Just simply click IDOLS. If you don't see this, you can click My Applications. It will take you there. This will bring you to the home screen. Once you arrive here, you know that you are in IDOLS. You'll find your username, your current role, as well as your current location. The location identifiers at the bottom simply tell IDOLS where your information is stored. If you are a provider, your MPI number would be listed here. To the left-hand side of the screen, there are a number of categories. The categories that are used for service authorizations primarily fall within two sections: service records or individuals. There are two links that can be used to add a service record or open a service for a provider. You can either use Add Services or you can use Individuals by CSB. Notice they're both listed here. If we select Individuals by CSB, you will get a comprehensive list of all the individuals within that CSB. You'll notice that some of the individuals have a services link located next to their names. Those with a service link are in active status. That means that those individuals can have services opened, or you can open a new request for those individuals within the system. Individuals who do not have a service link are not in active status, and you will not be able to add a service. The second option is to select Add Services under Service Records, as indicated here by the red arrow. Simply select Add Services, and then what you'll find is a more concise list. This is a easier way to identify all of the individuals within active status. You notice here Gail Top is not in active status, but she is in this list. If this happens and you notice she does not have a service button, you may want to go and look at her record and identify the reason she's listed. She needs her status updated. Everyone else in this list can access services at this point because they do have a service tab. So for today's training, we're going to look at the second individual listed here, John Doe. And we want to click on Services to be able to begin the process of adding a service request. Once you click on Services, it will open his record. You'll notice that at the top there's identifying information, which is just basic information such as his name, social security number, gender, birth date, so forth. Below that you'll find his LOF results, ISP dates, living situation, which is updated at least annually on an ongoing basis, any exams that are currently in the record, as well as a final tab that says Services. Notice Request New Service listed at the bottom. Clicking this link will open a service authorization form. There are 3 fields within this form. The first field is for service. So once John has selected a service, you want to come in and identify that service within the system. Select service. You can go through, you see all of the day support and ID waiver services listed. We're going to go to page 2 for the purposes of this demonstration, and we are going to select Congregate Residential Support because John is moving into a sponsored home, which you see listed right here. So go over and you select the service, and you'll notice the service has been entered into the form. The second thing we need to do once John has chosen a provider is select provider. This is the step that opens the service authorization to that specific provider so that they can access his record. If you scroll through, you'll notice that all providers are listed within the system. It's much easier to search for a provider simply by typing in the name and clicking search. This will pull up a smaller list, and you can more quickly navigate to the provider. In this example, we're going to use Wall Residences. So we select Wall Residences. Wall is entered into the form. Note that there is a 60-day assessment box. If this is a 60-day assessment, be certain to check this box. As a CSP submitter, you might also want to make a note to the provider. Here we might say something like, service opened for provider completion on this date. Once you've done that, you simply come down to the bottom and select Create Record. The system will process the request and also provide you with confirmation once it completes processing. Here's confirmation. New service record created successfully. Click Continue, take us back to the service record for John, and if we scroll down to the bottom, the service we just created is now listed in his record, awaiting provider completion, which is the current status. That means it has been sent to the provider. Now our email system has given us notice that Wall Residences has received an email saying that the service has been opened. The system automatically generates this email. You'll notice it says a service record has been assigned to you by Rockbridge Area CSB within the system, and then the provider knows to go in and complete the electronic ISAR. If we go back and we look at awaiting provider completion, and this is from the CSB view, the CSB submitter, support coordinator, case manager role can open all of the requests that are currently pending that are out to providers to be completed. Here's the one we just completed at the top. This list can be sorted by case manager, support coordinator, by selecting the drop-down menu. You also notice that these headers at each of the columns are listed in blue. You can actually sort by all of these columns. You have name, service, provider, approval dates, start dates, end dates, service authorization dates, and then reason. For example, if we select name, you'll notice that Big Bird comes to the top, and the request we completed moves alphabetically in order. And here's the one we completed just now for John Doe. You can select it. And what you see here is a blank service authorization. That means that the provider has not yet completed it, so there's no information within the form. It's just awaiting provider completion. So if we scroll through, you'll notice that there are 0 units listed. No boxes are checked. But once the provider completes this, it will come back to the CSB and have this information entered for the support coordinator's review. And there is our note that we provided to the provider there at the bottom. Click Done. And we'll close that out. So that's how you open a service for a provider to be able to enter information. This concludes IDOLS Service Authorization Training Video Part 1. A few additional considerations in relation to Part 1 I'd like to mention at this point. First is regarding passwords. Please be aware that after 3 unsuccessful tries of logging into Delta, that you will be locked out of the system. So if you forget your password or you get locked out, please contact your Delta security officer to have your password reset. Passwords need to change about every 60 days, and passwords cannot be repeated for the first 12 uses. So just something to keep in mind about passwords. Also remember that the IDOLS database is exclusive only to individuals who have ID or day support waivers, as well as individuals who are currently on the wait list. So it will not include individuals apart from these within your CSB. And finally, service authorization will be phased in across the state by region, beginning with Region 1 in December of 2011, and the rest of the regions completing their question and answer sessions in January and February. Please make sure that you only submit requests to regions that have had the opportunity to view the training videos and to attend a question and answer session. The sessions are not required, but if you think it would be helpful to meet with the trainer and ask specific questions, this will provide the opportunity to do that. The expectation is that beginning on April 1st, all service authorizations for the ID and day support waivers will occur within IDOLS. This concludes Training Video Part 1. Please continue on to Part 2 to learn more about provider submissions within IDOLS.